Efficiency Experts YouTube. We just want to achieve. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Efficiency Experts Roundtable Podcast number 3. My name is Gunnar. You may know me by my RSN, Dragon Seance. Today's update up for discussion is Gemstone Dragons. But first, I would like to introduce the panelists.
I'm Alex, RSN Evo.
It's Andrew. My new RSN is Determined.
My name is Jacob, better known as Defy.
And my name is Jordan, and I go by Wrathful.
Excellent. So, Alex, do you want to give us a quick summary of exactly what today's update is?
Yes, so the new content is the Gemstone Dragons, which can be found in the Karamja gem mines after completing the hard task for Karamja. The Dragonstone Dragon requires 95 Slayer. The Onyx Dragon requires 98, and the Heidrich Dragon requires 101. First monster above 99 Slayer rec. You're also able to kill these off task. One uncut Dragonstone will let you kill 2 of any of these dragons. An uncut Onyx will let you kill 400, and the uncut Heidrich will let you kill 4,000. So this averages out to about 6k GP per kill off task to kill them. Anyone else like to talk about the mechanics of these monsters?
I will. So these dragons basically are pretty similar to celestial dragons in that they have pretty high HP. They also each have a unique special attack. So the Dragonstone Dragon has a special attack which hits about 4,500 damage and drains 2 minutes off of your anti-fire potion. The Onyx Dragon has a special attack which hits similar damage and drains 2 minutes off of your stat boosting potions like Overload. And the Heidrich Dragon has a spec which hits 6k, drains all of your adrenaline, and also applies a debuff which reduces adrenaline gain for a brief period of time. Other than that, they're not too hard to kill. You just have to pay attention for the special attack, but other than that, it shouldn't be too much trouble for most high-level Slayers. Now, as far as rewards go, the Gemstone Dragons each drop pieces of the new Tier 80 hybrid armor, which is tank gear, non-augmentable, and trash, and non-augmentable, and also can be charged to provide an enchanted gemstone bolt. But in terms of common drops, they mostly drop gems and bolt tips. The drops were very poor upon release, only about 700k per hour for the Heidrich Dragons, which was hotfixed to be doubled later the same day. And also, they added an adamant dragon bone drop, which increases the profit to about 2 mil per hour if you note paper all the bones. In terms of XP rate, in terms of XP rate, the Heidrich Dragons are about 250k XP per hour with max DPS. They're 2,400 Slayer XP each, and they have 60k LP. You kill about 100 per hour.
So, trash.
Yeah, in short, they are
Yeah.
a pretty bad task. Not worth it in terms of profit or in terms of Slayer XP relative to the current average for a good Slayer task list like Arid and Edamu.
Right. Nor do they have any comp or trim requirements that would compel a completionist player to spend many hours there, a la Calgarian Demons.
Or even remotely fun to kill. Just a big HP sponge.
Yeah, so this update was pretty much universally panned by the RS community. We saw a lot of Reddit complaining about the drop rates, loudly enough to have them doubled the same day of release, which I think is almost unprecedented in RS
not
history.
even the same day, just within a couple of hours almost.
Yeah, a few hours after the update, Shawnee posted about the drops being doubled. I think players were actually saying they were losing money killing them. So, There's not a lot to encourage you to go do this task.
Even with the new armor at, release day prices, like 70 mil for the chest, 50 mil for legs, 30 mil for helmet, it's not going to stay that way. And the fact is that the armor is borderline useless. There's much better armor for nearly every action in the game. So these are not a good task now, and they are going to get worse in the future in terms of profit. So I just want to know, with everybody here, where did they go wrong? What could be changed in order to make this a viable Slayer task, especially at 101 Slayer for the Heidrich Dragon?
You could remove them.
Right. So I think what we have is like this should be a notable update, if not iconic. I know, we have Menaphos coming later this year along with 120 Slayer release. So this is Heidrich Dragons. We have the first monster that requires over 99 Slayer. There is an interesting mechanic where you have to boost to the level because 120 Slayer isn't out yet. They released a new item called a Wilder Pie, which functions like an overload. It lasts for 6 minutes. Your Slayer by, I think, 6 levels. So you can easily boost with that, and you just add a crushed dragonstone to the existing wild pie recipe. Or you can use wild pies and your buff will decrease over time, and then you can just eat another wild pie to boost back. But, you have to boost to kill them. I think
which will not always be the case.
True.
Right.
But I think in general, there's a lot of concern from the community about, is this task going to be indicative of what we can expect in the 120 Slayer release?
Right, and it's not that every single Slay task released has to be the best GP and the best XP, but when you look at like the Raptor tasks that drop the T85 weapons, how does this have a higher Slayer requirement, higher HP, and give worse loot and lower requirement rare quote-unquote drops? It just doesn't really compute, doesn't pass the common sense test. I am of the opinion that T90 hybrid armor is something that would see some use within the game, and it's something that could be dropped by a 101 Slayer monster that you have to pay to kill, or you get assigned in numbers under 100 from Morvrin. So I think that would be an appropriate reward and to buff the regular drops somewhat.
I think it needs to have a power aspect to it because like you can make tier 90 hybrid, but hybrid doesn't give damage bonuses. Wouldn't even make that big of a difference. Unless you mean tier 90 power hybrid.
Yeah, I think that this is kind of a missed opportunity because this could have been, the first real power hybrid armor in the game. So that would have been one thing that would have made it a lot more worthwhile. The armor even more valuable, and maybe people would have done them if, basically to engage with the Slayer task, you need, one of two things or maybe three. You need a good profit rate or a good XP rate, or at worst you could be like mediocre for both of those, but you can be extremely AFK. But due to their special attack, these aren't AFK. So it just doesn't pass, that test for, am I going to want to go do this task? And if it's common enough, I think it'll end up on a lot of players' block.
I just want to cut in real quick. This shouldn't even have been released yet. I feel like this was a forced update because they didn't have much content available for April, and they're like, oh, we'll just give them a monster. We already finished for Slayer. And it doesn't seem right. I don't feel like we should be getting monsters for a Slayer assignment for something that isn't out yet, clearly doesn't look to be finished based on results, not balanced in any way, shape, or form, XP wise or drops wise, and it just looks bad, And another quick chime in here, the cost. I'm an Iron Man player. The cost to kill these things, unless you have onyxes that you're willing to burn, you will never, ever kill these monsters, just because it's not feasible to maintain the gem cost because dragonstones aren't easily attainable. and the only source of Onyxes and Heidrichs is either Reaper points or via Hurricane or Araxi. So, this is, yes, it's high-end content, but, it kind of misses the mark for me totally on every aspect.
Right. And I think, yeah, Iron Man players might not kill these, but I certainly can't even see regular players killing them off task, which I think is a good test of whether or not a Slayer monster.
I don't see regular people killing these on task. That's the other thing.
Yeah, no, I don't either. Unfortunately, I think this, or fortunately, I think this was probably used to test some major elements of 120 Slayer, e.g., the boosting mechanic / less AFKable, more punishing mechanics for high HP monsters, as in, like, you're prone to AFK them because they've got so high HP, but they also have very punishing mechanics, so they punish you for AFKing. So I think they wanted to see player reaction, and if they were trying to get a reaction, they certainly did. So all we can hope is that they're taking this feedback and they're going to use it in order to better release 120 Slayer and Menafos Dungeons more to the player base's liking. We can hope.
Right. And there are things about this, despite, the fact that I'll probably never kill them unless something changes. There are things that I do like about this, which one is the mechanics that you mentioned. I already really enjoy Ripper Demons and Mammoths because of the unique mechanics that they have. And I don't mind new monsters having special attacks. I think that's good. It makes them each different instead of just being like something you attack and wait until it's dead. That's very pre-EOC. So I like to see that different. I like the location. I think it helps revitalize Shiloh Village a bit to provide more
It's
high-level
beautiful.
content there. Yeah, it seems like
The monsters
graphically,
themselves look very good, yes.
it's a very good update graphically. So it's actually even more of a shame that players won't be killing them.
If they were properly balanced with good XP rates or good money, they would be fine. I think the mechanics are fine. We need to have more engaging Slayer tasks, as attacking and AFKing a Dark Beast is boring. Like, let's be real here. But they failed on the balancing department of both GP an hour versus XP an hour. You have zero reason to do this. The sustainability is just not there.
So let me ask a question. Why do you think that they failed? Do you think that they did this on purpose, or do you think that maybe Jagex just isn't aware of current meta for Slayer in terms of rate and profitability?
I think when
Jagex
it
just-
comes,
Alex, go ahead.
right, I think when it comes to profitability, they put all their eggs in the hybrid armor basket. But the problem is that it's not good armor. So when all the money comes from one drop and the drop's worthless, then it's just going to be a worthless unless there's a good XP in there.
Right, and I liked Gunner's suggestion. The hybrid armor needs to be given a place in the game, either through a higher tier or, I think that it currently has that set effect, but it's pretty expensive to maintain. And on top of that, the gear is non-augmentable, which reduces its viability quite a bit compared to both the Sliske hybrid armor and the Hanto armor, which we saw added to the Arc just last week or 2 weeks ago.
Because if you look at the Hanto armor, we don't have good numbers on the special effect yet, but I would argue that Crackling 3, Impatient 3, Dragon Slayer perks easily are going to outdo the special effect, unless there's something crazy we just don't know about it yet.
No, that's very true. Defy, you had something to say?
I was just gonna go on about in regards to the balance stuff. Like, it just seems to me Jagex just doesn't get it at all, regardless of what they're trying to introduce lately.
Care to elaborate?
Well, the high Hanto armor being ridiculously overpriced. In
Master
regards to
Rune
Card
Crafter
Juju.
Master
Master
Rinse after
Rinse
being
after
ridiculously
being
underpriced.
yeah,
Yeah.
it just keeps happening over and over again, and it's just like, well, has anyone ever logged in before and played the game for more than 5 minutes? Like, that's the way I feel, and it just keeps happening over and over.
We have seen a lot of missteps in that area recently. Maybe Jagex could, get more player input before these updates instead of afterwards just responding to the negative feedback on Reddit.
Right, taking a proactive approach would definitely be better for balancing updates such as this. I think one thing that was discussed was Jagex's perception of average XP or average GP. I think Dark Beasts were mentioned. Did somebody say that during the Game Jam stream with regards to average Slayer XP killing Dark Beasts? They said it was somewhere in the realm of 200k.
Yeah, like, I remember watching the stream, and they said it. I can't be exactly sure. It was a while ago now, but they said, I believe they said it was like Dark Beasts were base 200k XP an hour on Slayer task, and I just kind of stood there laughing, like, "Are you for real?"
For our viewers, do you care to elaborate on how Dark Beasts are in terms of Slayer XP?
Well, you get a ridiculous amount of Slayer XP per task, and let alone, base combat XP, depending on how many you actually have to kill.
Right. So
Dark Beast should be able to kill about 250 in 20 minutes or so. So that's 750 kills per hour. And I think, let me look up the Slayer XP.
I think
now.
they
Yeah,
give
it's
like 800.
331 Slayer XP per kill, just over that. So yeah,
Okay.
They're honestly, Dark Beasts are not an excellent task for Slayer XP.
But that
per
still
hour.
equals like 260 something K, right?
Right, for a monster that was released in 2005.
Right, with a
has
90 Slayer requirement, and
a
now
much
we're
lower
looking at
requirement and is better profit and more AFK.
right. So I think the issue mostly we're looking at here is you have to fully understand players' interactions with past content to balance future content.
Not to mention, you can't even discuss these without comparing them to the Raptor tasks, which are almost universally like over 500k Slayer XP an hour. They provide excellent Slayer XP, and all of them are better profit too. And you can't even say, well, the Raptor tasks have difficult mechanics because these also have unique mechanics that are kind of annoying.
Right.
I just think they missed the mark completely with this update. I mean, it just was dead on arrival.
Right, but that's not something that can't be remedied for the future. I mean, if they made changes to the armor, if they change the drops again, which they said they have to at least rename the bones, which will give them an opportunity to review how players are interacting with the content, it's not like it's unsalvageable. I think everybody is correct, though, that this was a less than optimal release, and that looking at this as a lesson for future updates, they really want to see how players interact with similar content. You could look at Celestial Dragons. You could look at Adamant and Rune Dragons to see how many players kill per hour, how much money they're making, how much XP they're getting, and balance it accordingly to the higher requirements. And that's just something that was not done. So,
Not only that,
Would-
but sorry, Jordan, you want to?
I was just going to say, would you be okay with giving these dragons a bone drop that is the best per XP in the game? I am, personally.
They've got to
That
have
would
something
fix
that makes them worth doing. Yes.
That would fix them instantly if we saw either a Rune Dragon bone upgrade from Adamant to Rune Dragon bones, or gave them a new type of bone entirely that was better. That would
Right,
fix them completely.
Right. I mean, it's not like it's hard. Gemstone bone, make it a little sparkly.
Yeah, and
Done.
a little bit higher XP.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
just-
Or, but I do think if Jordan is right, and this was something that was pulled out of content they were preparing for Menaphos or for 120 Slayer, because they didn't have an update for this month, then I would have preferred to just see like another patch week or something. But is it okay that they're not that good? Or is it better that they release these now? Got a negative response.
I think it's kind of unacceptable, to be honest with you.
Is it good that they
I
released them?
think it's much better that they released them early and saw
They
this
got this
feedback
response.
now.
Right, and now they can hopefully take all these concerns and then be a little more aware and circumspect when they are working on release for Menaphos.
I'm just concerned because when you make an update like this, like a teaser update, you want to get people excited, and this doesn't make me excited at all. This makes me want to finish 200 mil Slayer before the update.
Right.
Right before your task list gets any more overwhelmed with skips
Yeah,
and
I stopped
blocks.
at 120 Slayer because I assumed that rates would likely go up or profitability would go up when Menaphos came out.
We could
And
also touch on
hope-
the whole chompy bird, better freaking
Yeah, that was
pie.
that was a very interesting temporary effect of this update was because they released the Wilder Pie update, the Wilder Pie recipe in advance of the update. Players in anticipation started hoarding raw wild pies, which require bear meat, rabbit meat, and chompy birds to make in advance so that they could just add crushed dragonstone and make the wilder pies. Now, I actually did several hours of this, and for a period over the weekend, raw chompies were between 35 and 50k each. You could make between 5 and 8 mil an hour doing your trim rec, which was really nice. I did several hours of that. And unfortunately, that's not the case right now. The pies have crashed post-release to below 30k, and chompies will probably crash down to like under 10k, I would assume. But I did like that because it kind of gave an extra incentive to do the trim rec. And also, in this update, you can see Jagex tried to create an item sync for gems. Now, I don't know how successful it'll be, but gems are all over this update. You crush dragonstones to put them in the wild pies. You pay gems to get into the dungeon to kill them off task, and you use gems to charge the hybrid armor. So what do we think of that?
I don't think it's going to
tried.
work.
They tried and failed miserably.
I think they should have
mean,
sank cut gem, not the uncuts.
Yeah, I think that would have been preferable. Because, most people want to cut the gems for crafting. And it's really the cut gems that need an item sync as an alternative to alching, where all the D-stones get made into bracelets and alked right now. But I do like that Jagex has started to experiment with more types of item syncs. We've seen it recently, ever since Invention release. I think we're going to keep seeing it in the future. I hope that some of them work a bit better than this one looks like it's going to.
Right. I mean, I think they looked and they said D-stones used to have an iota of prestige. You used to be excited to get one on the ground. I'm pretty sure I haven't picked up a single one since I started playing again, and it's kind of sad. And I think they noticed that at 10k, D-stones, might deserve some sort of item sync to get that excess stock out of the game. But in this case, if players don't kill the dragons, the D-stones aren't going to leave the game. So they can keep doing it, sure. But as you said, hopefully some work out better.
I think that means you should start slaying with your upgraded gem bag to automatically pick them up.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I saw someone saying also the dragonstone drops from these are noted. So, I mean unnoted, sorry. So that's even more annoying. And I saw some post on Reddit about how their gem bag filled up and then they just couldn't even pick them up anymore.
Well, no, they drop cut ones, so they can't even go in the gem bag, which is the joke.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I think the gem bag needs another upgrade. Should be able to hold the cut ones. And
This
have a
update just
higher
wasn't
quantity.
thought through.
Yeah, I think the update itself, as in the content, the graphics are fairly polished. It's just that the ramifications and the player incentive it's not there. So I think it's not too late. They can still save it should they choose to. It's just going to take some finagling, or they could just brute force it and say, oh, these are now 800k Slayer XP an hour, which if anything is going to be the best Slayer XP in the hour, Slayer XP in the game per hour, shouldn't it be the thing that has the highest Slayer requirement? Probably.
Give it bones.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of ways to do it, and I think we've gone over at least 3 of them. All right. Does anybody have any closing comments?
No, I think this is a pretty small update as far as things go, in that it doesn't really change the current meta of the game very much. No
Right,
Shane
right.
this week, so we don't have a Reddit post for you guys.
Right. However, we will be returning next with a non-update podcast that should be coming out sometime later this week. And again, with next week's update, you should see another discussion coming out of us. So thank you guys for listening. If you look in the description, we're going to post the Discord link if you want to discuss this or other updates. Additionally, Efficiency Experts YouTube channel, you can subscribe, and we will be posting these as often as applicable. So definitely thank you guys for watching, and yeah.
See you next week.
Peace.
Good enough.
Yeah, good
Penis.
enough.
I felt like every time I was opening my mouth, I was going to cut someone off. It was
That's
hard.